Good Saturday morning. The text today actually reaffirms what I just said. Okay, just watch. I'll show you that. Let me just see it. Again, it's Luke. Okay. Um, he said, at that very moment, he rejoiced in the Holy Spirit and said, I give you praise, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, for although you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned, you have revealed them to the childlike. Yes, Father, such has been your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father. No one knows who the Son is except the Father, and who the Father is except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wishes to reveal him. Turning to the disciples in private, he said, Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I say, many a prophet and kings desire to see what you see, but didn't see it. To hear what you hear, but didn't hear it. See? That's what I was saying about St. Mark's and St. Tim's. See? That's the truth, okay? The revelation of who and what is Christ I learned in the pews at St. Tim's, at St. Mark's, not from the theologians, and certainly not the philosophers, as much as the philosophers and the theologians have sought wisdom. And we certainly have. That's my racket. But the wisdom is not easily found among philosophers and theologians. We find argumentation, clarity of thought, but do we find Christ? I found Christ in the lives of the people who I was called to serve. That is the truth. I saw holiness where, by the books, you would never call it. I saw it in fidelity. I saw it in the struggling in life. I saw it in the redemptive actions when people redeem their lives. The great story. When I told my kids in class the other day, when this happened years ago, somebody asked me in my class what was the meaning of life. And I told the same story to the kids just the other day, Thursday. I said, the meaning of life is redemption. To redeem oneself, to be redeemed and to redeem oneself, to never be defeated by life, never be defeated, no matter what. And I think of St. Paul's letter to the Colossians, we fill up those things wanting in the suffering of Christ. Again, I mentioned this young woman in my class who was incredibly extraordinary, okay? I don't know what she's been through, but whatever it was the darkness of darkness itself. And yet she's emerged, and she is a light to that class. At 20 years old, because of the brightness of her faith. But it isn't pious. Oh God, it isn't pious. It is simple and clean and clear, okay? But when I see that and I see what redemption is like, that's redemption. It's powerful. The students teach me, the old timers teach me, the people in the parish who I'm privileged to have been part of. One of the most powerful things for me in my life is to see somebody at the end of their life come to grips with their life and faith. Some people who have been estranged from the church for God for years, 40 and 50 years. I see the mercy of God and the tenderness of Christ and the openness of a heart seeking to be redeemed from one's sinfulness and estrangement. It's a true story. I couldn't tell you how many people I anointed. They were a long way from ever being in the church. Years. You know. But I anointed them, brought them communion. I see the grace of God working. And I see the openness of the heart to be redeemed. I've seen that. That's been part of my life. When I look for holiness, I certainly don't look for piety. Piety means absolutely nothing to me. I have to tell you, I was raised in the pious 50s. It was so shallow. It was pious. It dripped with holy water, being kind. Okay? But where was this depth? Where was this depth? We've virtually lost that generation. My generation is certainly estranged from the church, from Christianity. In many cases, become atheists. Piety ran thin. What I see is their grandchildren having tasted the emptiness of the world we gave them, seeking more, seeking a true belief, a deep and abiding belief, you see? Neat. You know, and they teach us by their yearning for Christ and their yearning for life. This young woman, she's not a Christian. She explicitly says that. She abandoned that, whatever Christian faith she was raised with. But when I sat to her after and I've talked to her now a couple of times about this matter, and I just said to her, you're not far. You will embrace Christianity. You will embrace it. Why? She's heading right in that direction. She's heading in that direction. Right? Whatever she had before she abandoned, most likely I would have too. But she's seeking authentic Christ now. He's right there. She said she was adorable. She says she took grip of her own life. And there's the human redemption. See, the redemptive moment. She took a hold of her life. She says, I am my own Redeemer, my own Lord and Redeemer, meaning I've taken charge. And I said, yeah, you're right, sweetie. But you got a companion. You're not alone. Namely Christ. You're not alone. That's neat, isn't it? This kid is special, but so are the others, so many in the class. You see, when you see the depth of their faith, it isn't pious at all. It's profoundly religious. And it gives me hope. Hope for them personally, but hope for their generation. I told one of my classes, you're going to have to rebuild their culture. If not, you're going to pay a hell of a price for it. We didn't give you much. We gave you techniques, but we didn't give you wisdom. It's interesting because Plato, you got to go all the way back to Plato. He said the same thing. God, anybody knows the history of the culture knows this is scary. Okay, and Plato says that. You see it in Socrates. He didn't teach technique, knowledge. Knowledge as an instrument, merely as for its own sake. He sought wisdom. You had to seek wisdom, not just knowledge, technique. I worry about even our liberal education today. We aim at almost all so-called liberal. You know what that means? Not political. It means liberal arts, okay, just for the sake of the record. Okay, I'm not making a political ploy here. It's nothing to do with politics. It underlies the morality of it, but not, okay, whatever. Anyway, what I say to them is that we've gotten in the business of training rather than educating. Training. Education is reduced down to training, job training, for career training, not wisdom. The role of the liberal arts is to educate to a wisdom through art, literature, philosophy, theology. The great humanisms, the instruments of humanism, not just the knowledge of science, biology, physics, mathematics, not taken away from it, but they're not a wisdom. Even for Plato, as high as mathematics are, they're subject to philosophy. They come under philosophy. Math is not a wisdom. It's a calculation. And what you never want to do is reduce knowledge to calculation. It's not. You need calculation. You need the sciences. Good God, we'd be still hanging from a tree if it wasn't for it. But you need wisdom. And wisdom is as much a matter of the sentiment of the heart as of knowledge. It's a combination of both. And it is the wisdom of the heart. And that's what religion provides, a wisdom, a way of life, not a piety, a way of feeling and understanding life and what life requires of us, to a providential deity who loves us and calls us to human perfection, human excellence. Not servitude, excellence. That we are fully human and forming a human community that is embraced by love, not by the contrast, Thomas Hobbes, not by agreements for self-interest, but the intimacy of love itself, taking Aristotle one step further, beyond one step, a friendship among each other rooted in a transcendent God who is incarnate Christ, the body of the church. See? This is what we're about. And liberal education, especially in a Catholic university, the liberal arts education should form the conscience, form us into human beings of friendship, an eternally blessed friendship, not contract, not agreement, not techne, but wisdom. A wisdom rooted in beauty and love and goodness. That's the truth. Anyway, it's just the reflections of the week.